Hi, my name is Jim Berthold, and I'm going to talk about the calculator block inside OLI Flowsheet version 12 and beyond. We have a previous video where we discussed global properties, and now we're going to have local properties which are attached just to a stream. So let's talk about the actual process here. This is a cobalt recovery where I have a leachate liquor that has some cobalt in it, some other things as well. And then I'm going to separate it out, precipitate it, run it through a solvent extractor, and then crystallize it. So we'll just go through the process real quickly just to give you an idea. And we'll make this case available to you on our website. So here's the leachate liquor, and we see what we have. We have water and a bunch of other things. The target species here is cobalt. Cobalt sulfate is the way it's represented. We're going to react it with a hydroxide and carbonate stream to help precipitate out some metals. It will run to a separator. This is a stream we're going to look at later. Okay, we then filter out the impurities, any gases we're going to take off as well. It now comes into the solvent extraction step of the process. We are going to run a solvent extracting chemical, Cyanex 272, plus some kerosene to give us an organic liquid. Some of these materials will dissolve into organic liquid, some of it will not. It then goes to our contactor. Okay, we then allow it to mix. This is not a true solvent extraction unit, but that OLI will develop later. The raffinate is what we want. It'll come out. We'll go through a second stage contactor here. And eventually we come into an area where we're going to remove the solvent that we no longer want. And the liquid that contains our cobalt, this is basically a water-rich stream, will come into a concentrator and then an evaporator. The stream we are interested in here is this CO2 sulfate product stream, and we're going to add the calculator block here. So here's the calculator block in the corner. We'll just move on up. Okay, we'll give it a new name called Cobalt Recovery. Okay, and we're going to, it's already lit here. We're going to show the incoming connections to show where they're connected. They're going to look like controller streams, but they're not. So we're going ahead and start with our expression. Okay. We're going to call the name of the stream. You have to double click it, and this will be just called Cobalt Recovery. Okay. And we're going to add a unit here. This is not a real unit. It's just text, just to give us an idea of what this thing looks like. We're then going to create a couple of expressions here. Okay. Our first one will be the amount of cobalt coming into the process that we want to simulate. So we're going to call that cobalt in. Coin, but it's cobalt in. When we come over here, we're going to go look for the stream that we want. Excuse me, this is actually a property. So it's a property. And the property is the total amount of cobalt in the stream coming to the separator. So I'm going to look for my streams. There's all my streams in the model. The one I want is to separator. This is way back in the beginning. We'll show you where it's connected. Now I want a total property. This is going to be the sum of everything. And I want specifically the material balance composition for cobalt. Okay. And this is cobalt in the +2 oxidation state is what I'm interested in. So now I've selected it. Or I thought I've selected it. Okay, there it goes. It does take a while to build this. I have another property, which is going to be called cobalt in the product, CO product. Very similar, except it's a different stream. That'll be that calcium sulfate product stream. So we have to go find it. Here it is. Same thing. It's a total value and material balance composition, cobalt +2. Again, we'll select it. It does take a second to update the units. Okay, we have the two expressions. The expression here will be the cobalt product, spelling counts, let's go ahead and put some parentheses. You're allowed to use them. We're going to multiply it by 100 to get our percent. Close the parenthesis. And divide it by the amount of cobalt coming in. And you can see it connected, the lines here. So we can clean them up if we want. So the input to this calculator is from the cobalt sulfate product stream. And if we go all the way back to the beginning, you can find that it came from the separator. We can actually run this if we wanted to, and then it will update the calculation. It's always a good idea to save your file first, and then we'll go ahead and run it. Okay, it took about 220 seconds for this calculation to complete. Obviously, I put the video on pause to show you that, so we weren't wasting time. So I have cobalt recover. I mistyped it, but I can actually add a call out here. And I need to add the variable, calculated parameters, cobalt recovery, mole percent. And there it is. So it's 97%. Now I could add other calculations here, so I can add a purity here if I want. But it gives us the ability to look at things over the entire process. So remember, look at that stream. It's way over at the beginning here versus a stream on the end. We can't do this type of calculation with the global parameters, although the global parameters could be used inside this process. So we're going to go ahead and save this. We'll make this available someplace on the OLI web so you guys can take a look at it. If you have any questions, please submit a question through the support portal at support.olisystems.com. Thank you.